All right, welcome back for another deep dive.
Yeah, happy to be back.
Today we are tackling vocabulary.
Ooh, exciting.
Yeah, specifically 30 words from the Oxford 5000 Advanced Vocabulary.
Okay.
Group 35, words 1021 to 1050.
All right, a nice little chunk.
Yeah.
We can work with that.
Yeah, I think we can handle that.
Yeah.
It's funny because I feel like these are words you see and hear all the time, but maybe don't always know the exact definition.
Yeah, definitely. Like you kind of have a feeling of what they mean, but maybe not, down to the nitty-gritty.
Exactly. So hopefully our deep dive today will help with that.
Yeah, and these are words that are really going to help in a lot of situations. Like you said, you see them all the time. So if you can really nail down what they mean and how to use them, it can really boost your confidence, your fluency.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, whether you're reading the news, having a conversation, writing, anything.
Totally.
Okay, well, should you just jump right in?
Yeah, let's do it. I'm excited.
Okay. First up is journalism. I feel like we all have an idea of what this means, but what's the, official definition?
Okay, so journalism, basically it's the work of gathering, analyzing, and reporting on news and information.
Okay, so it's more than just writing articles.
Yeah, exactly. It's like the whole process, right? Like from the very beginning, finding the information, figuring out what's important to actually, writing it up, presenting it, all of that.
And it's so important, too.
Absolutely. It's crucial for a functioning society, holding those in power accountable, keeping the public informed.
Right. Okay, so some example sentences of journalism in action. She dreamed of a career in journalism, driven by a passion for uncovering hidden truths.
Nice. Good one.
Investigative journalism can be dangerous, but it's essential for exposing corruption.
Ooh, very true.
And lastly, citizen journalism, powered by social media, has become a powerful force in shaping public opinion.
Yeah, that's a good one. You can really see how journalism is evolving,
Absolutely. Okay, moving right along to judicial. This one sounds kind of intimidating.
Yeah, a little bit, right.
What exactly does it mean?
So judicial basically means relating to the legal system, judges, courts, all that.
Okay.
So anything involving judgments or legal decisions, that falls under judicial.
Gotcha. So if we're talking about a court case or something like that, we'd probably use judicial.
Exactly.
Okay, so some example sentences for this one. The judicial system is designed to ensure fairness and protect individual rights.
Yeah, that's a good basic one.
The judicial review process allows higher courts to examine decisions made by lower courts.
Right, so that's getting into a more specific aspect.
Exactly. And then he appealed the verdict, claiming there was judicial bias in the case.
Oh, interesting. So that's where you can see, potential problems in the judicial system,
For sure. Okay, let's lighten things up a bit. Junction. This one seems pretty straightforward.
Yeah, junction is pretty simple. It's basically just a point where two things meet. Usually we're talking about roads or railways, like a crossroads.
Right, like where you have to decide which way to go.
Exactly.
Okay, some examples. The traffic jam at the junction was causing major delays. Ugh, I hate when that happens.
The worst.
They decided to meet at the junction of Highway 101 and Route 66. Classic road trip vibes.
I love it.
And last but not least, the railway junction was a hub of activity, with trains arriving and departing from all directions.
Ooh, I can picture it. So busy.
Yeah, I can see it too. Okay, this next one always trips me up. Jurisdiction.
Oh, yeah, jurisdiction can be a little tricky.
It can. Can you break it down for me?
So basically, jurisdiction refers to the authority to make legal decisions and judgments, but it's within a specific area, right? So like a geographical area or over certain types of cases.
Ah, okay. So it's about who has the power to actually, apply the law.
Exactly.
Okay, that makes more sense. So some examples. The local police had no jurisdiction over the crime as it occurred outside city limits.
Right. Good example. So they couldn't do anything about it.
The International Criminal Court has jurisdiction to prosecute individuals for war crimes.
Right, so that's a very specific type of jurisdiction.
Exactly. And lastly, the lawyer argued that the case should be dismissed because the court lacked jurisdiction.
Ooh, that's a good one. So they were saying the court had no right to even hear the case.
Exactly. And I feel like this comes up a lot, right? Like in legal dramas and stuff.
Oh, yeah, definitely. It's all about figuring out which court is the right place for the case.
Speaking of courts, our next word is jury. We've all seen courtroom dramas, right? But What's the real definition?
So a jury is a group of people, right, selected from the community, and they're the ones who listen to all the evidence in a trial.
Okay.
And then they have to decide, the verdict, guilty or not guilty.
It's a big responsibility.
Oh, huge. Like someone's fate is in their hands.
Exactly. Okay, some example sentences. The jury deliberated for hours before reaching a unanimous verdict.
Yeah, I bet that was intense.
She was nervous about being selected for jury duty, but she knew it was an important civic duty.
True, it's a big deal.
And then the defense attorney tried to persuade the jury that their client was innocent.
Classic courtroom drama moment.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Okay, now let's talk about just. It seems like a simple word, but I feel like it has some deep implications.
Yeah, it totally does. So just means morally right and fair.
Okay.
It's all about doing what's right even when it's hard,
Absolutely. So like ethical and equitable.
Exact.
Okay, some sentences using just. He struggled to make a just decision that would satisfy everyone involved.
Yeah, that's tough, right? Trying to be fair to everyone.
The protesters demanded just laws that protected the rights of all citizens.
Yeah, so that's where it gets really powerful, right? Like fighting for justice.
Definitely. And lastly, she believed in a just world where everyone had equal opportunities.
That's a great one.
Yeah, it's aspirational, right?
Totally.
Okay, up next is justification. How would you explain this one?
All right, so justification is a good reason for something, right? Like an explanation for why you did something or why you believe something.
Okay, so it's not just making an excuse.
No, it's got to be like a solid reason, evidence, logic, something like that.
So you're backing it up.
Exactly.
Okay, here's some examples. He tried to justification for a lateness with a flimsy excuse about traffic. Classic.
Oh, yeah, we've all been there.
The report provided ample justification for increasing funding for education.
Ooh, that's a good one. So they had like data and research to back it up.
Exactly. And lastly, her justification for quitting her job was a lack of opportunities for growth.
Makes sense. I mean, everyone wants to move forward in their career.
Absolutely. Okay, this next word is a heavy one. Kidnap.
Yeah, kidnap is definitely a serious word.
It is. What does it mean exactly?
So to kidnap means to take someone away illegally, right? And it's by force.
Okay.
And it's usually for a ransom or sometimes other like malicious purposes.
It's a scary thought.
Oh, for sure. It's a parent's worst nightmare.
Absolutely. Okay, some examples. The parents were frantic after their child was kidnapped from the park.
Oh, so sad.
The movie was a thriller about a group of friends who foil a kidnap attempt. Ooh, I love a good thriller.
Me too. Very suspenseful.
And then the kidnappers demanded $1 million for the safe return of the hostage.
Yeah, that's the classic like ransom scenario.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, let's move on to something a little less intense. Kidney. What is a kidney exactly?
Okay, so a kidney is one of your organs, right? You have two of them.
Okay.
And they're like bean-shaped.
I've heard that.
And they're super important because they filter waste products from your blood.
Wow. So we need them to like stay healthy.
Big time. Yeah.
Okay, cool. So some sentences with kidney. He was diagnosed with kidney disease and needed dialysis treatment.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's serious stuff.
Drinking plenty of water is crucial for healthy kidney function.
True. Very important.
And last but not least, she made the selfless decision to donate a kidney to her friend in need.
That's amazing. Talk about a true friend.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, now for something a little more whimsical. Kingdom. It makes me think of fairy tales.
Yeah, me too. Like princesses and castles and all that.
Exactly. But, like, what's the real definition?
Okay, so a kingdom can definitely be a country ruled by a king or queen. That's the classic definition, right?
Right.
But it can also be like a more general term, like a realm, a domain, even a sphere of influence.
Okay, so it can be physical or more abstract.
Exactly.
Cool. Some examples. The ancient kingdom was renowned for its wealth and powerful rulers.
Sounds like a history book.
Right. The underwater kingdom is teeming with diverse marine life. So magical.
I love that.
And lastly, she felt most at home in the kingdom of books, surrounded by stories and knowledge.
Oh, I relate to that one.
Yeah, me too. Books are the best. Okay, what about kit? What comes to mind when you hear that word?
Kit. I think of like being prepared, like having everything you need for something.
Okay, so like a toolkit.
Exactly. Or a first aid kit, a sewing kit, like all the essentials for a specific purpose.
Right. I get it. Okay, some examples. She always kept a sewing kit handy for quick repairs. Practical.
Very.
The camping kit included everything they needed for a week in the wilderness. Hopefully they remembered the bug spray.
Oh yeah, that's essential.
And then he proudly showed off his new photography kit, complete with lenses and filters.
Nice. Must have been a big investment.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, what about lad? Do you hear that word a lot?
Lad, not super often. It's definitely more of a British English thing.
Oh, okay.
It just means a boy or a young man, but it can be kind of informal.
Gotcha. So, you wouldn't use it in a formal setting?
Probably not. It can also sound a bit condescending, depending on how you say it.
Okay, so maybe use it with caution.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, so some examples. The group of lads headed to the pub for a pint after work. Very British.
Totally.
He was a mischievous lad, always getting into trouble. Little rascal.
Yeah, sounds like it.
And lastly, she remembered him as a charming young lad with a twinkle in his eye.
Oh, that's sweet.
Okay, moving on to ladder. What does that make you think of?
Ladder. I mean, climbing, obviously.
Yeah, of course.
It's just that structure with steps, to help you climb up or down.
Right. Simple but effective.
Exactly.
Okay, some sentences. He carefully climbed the ladder to reach the roof. Safety first.
Always.
She was determined to climb the corporate ladder and become CEO.
Ambitious.
Yeah.
She's going places.
And then he felt like he was constantly trying to climb out of a hole with no ladder in sight.
Ooh, that's a good one. Like a metaphor for struggle.
Exactly. Okay, what about landing? What are the different meanings of this word?
Okay, so landing can be the flat area at the top of a staircase, where you pause before going up the next set of stairs.
Okay, yeah, I know what you mean.
Or it can be when a plane touches down on the ground.
Oh, right, so it's about arriving somewhere.
Exactly.
Okay, some examples. She paused on the landing to catch her breath before continuing up the stairs.
Yeah, those stairs can be tiring.
Tell me about it. The pilot announced that they were preparing for landing.
Buckle up.
And last but not least, the boat made a bumpy landing on the shore.
Oof, sounds rough.
Yeah, I'm feeling a little seasick just thinking about it. Okay, this next one is pretty relatable, especially if you rent. Landlord.
Oh yeah, landlord. We all know that one.
We do. But just to be sure, what's the official definition?
So a landlord is the person who owns the building or property that you're renting.
Okay.
They're the ones who collect the rent and are supposed to keep the place in good shape.
Right. So they have responsibilities too.
Definitely.
Okay, here's some examples. The landlord was quick to respond to maintenance requests. That's a good landlord.
Yeah, gotta love that.
She negotiated a lower rent with her landlord. Good for her.
Nice negotiating skills.
He dreamed of becoming a landlord and owning multiple properties.
Yeah, that's a common goal for some people.
For sure. Okay, what about landmark? This one makes me think of famous places and monuments.
Yeah, that's a good way to think about it. So a landmark is something recognizable, right? Like a building or a place.
Okay.
And it's usually something that's important for some reason, like it has historical significance or cultural significance, or it's just a famous point of reference.
So it helps you orient yourself, right? Oh, I know where I am because of that landmark.
Exactly.
Cool. Okay, some examples. The Statue of Liberty is a world-famous landmark that symbolizes freedom.
Classic landmark.
It is. They use the old oak tree as a landmark to find their way back to the campsite. Smart thinking.
Yeah, gotta love a good natural landmark.
And lastly, the city council voted to protect the historic building, declaring it a national landmark.
Good. Gotta preserve those landmarks.
Definitely. Okay, this next one makes me think of driving. Lane.
Lane. Okay, so usually this refers to a narrow road.
Okay.
In the countryside, those little winding lanes.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Picturesque.
Totally. Or it can be a section of a wider road, but it's designated for a specific type of traffic, right?
So like a bike lane or a passing lane.
Exactly.
Okay, I got it. Here's some examples. They strolled along the winding country lane, enjoying the scenery. Sounds peaceful.
Yeah, very relaxing.
Stay in the right lane unless you're overtaking.
Good driving advice.
Always. And lastly, the cyclists appreciated the dedicated bike lanes, which made their commutes safer.
Yes. More bike lanes, please.
Absolutely. Okay, what about lap? What are the different ways we can use this word?
All right, so lap can be a body part, right? It's the top part of your legs when you're sitting down.
Okay.
If you're holding a cat, it's sitting on your lap.
Yep. Yeah, I get it.
Or it can be one complete circuit of a track or a course.
So when you're running.
Exactly, one lap around the track.
Okay, cool. So it's a body part or a distance measurement.
Yep.
Okay, here's some sentences. The cat curled up contentedly on her lap. So cute.
Oh, I love cats.
Me too. The runner completed 10 laps around the track, pushing herself to the limit. That's impressive.
Wow, yeah, she's dedicated.
And then he took another lap around the clock, hoping to clear his head.
Oh, yeah, sometimes you just need a good walk.
For sure. Okay, this next one sounds pretty self-explanatory. Large scale.
Yeah, it kind of is. It basically means something that's big, but not just in terms of physical size. It's
Right.
more like extensive in scope or impact, like something grand or impressive.
Ah, okay, so it's about magnitude.
Exactly.
Got it. Here are some examples. The company embarked on a large-scale expansion into international markets.
Wow, so they're going global.
Yeah, making big moves. The earthquake caused large-scale destruction across the region.
Yeah, that's where you can see, like, the impact, you know?
Definitely. And then the government launched a large-scale investigation into the corruption scandal.
Ooh, sounds juicy.
Okay, now for a word that's both scientific and super cool sounding, laser.
Lasers are pretty awesome.
They are. What exactly are they, though?
So laser is actually an acronym.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it stands for Light Amplification by Stimulated Emission of Radiation.
Whoa, that's a mouthful.
I know, right? But basically, it's a device that makes a really, really focused beam of light. And it has tons of uses.
Like laser pointers, laser surgery, all sorts of stuff.
Exactly. It's become like a symbol of precision and advanced technology.
Definitely. Okay, some examples. The surgeon used a laser to perform a delicate eye surgery.
Wow, so precise.
The barcode scanner at the checkout used a laser to read the product information. So that's how that works.
Yeah, pretty cool.
And lastly, they created a dazzling laser light show that illuminated the night sky.
Ooh, I bet that was amazing to see.
Yeah, I'm a little jealous. Okay, what about lately? How would you explain this one?
Lately is just a fancy way of saying recently.
Okay, so it's about things that happened in the near past.
Exactly, like not long ago.
Got it. Here's some examples. I've been feeling much more energetic lately. Good to hear.
Same here.
She's been spending a lot of time with your family lately.
Oh, that's nice.
And then, have you seen him lately? He seems to have disappeared. Ooh, mysterious.
A little bit.
Okay, this next one always throws me off. Ladder. What does it mean?
All right, so ladder is used when you're talking about two things, right?
Okay.
And it refers to the second thing you mentioned, so it's just a way to, like, distinguish between the two.
Ah, okay, so it's like saying this one, not that one.
Exactly.
I got it. So some examples. She was offered 2 jobs, but chose the latter because it offered more opportunities for growth. Smart move.
Yeah, got to prioritize those opportunities.
He enjoys both playing the piano and the guitar, but the latter is his true passion.
Ooh, so he's really good at guitar.
I guess so. And lastly, of the 2 arguments presented, the latter was more persuasive.
So the second argument was more convincing.
Exactly. Okay, what about lawn? What comes to mind when you hear that word?
Lawn. I think of like a nice green grassy area.
Okay, yeah, I get that.
Like, you know, in a garden or a park, it's usually kept pretty short and neat.
Right, right. Lots of mowing involved.
Yeah, definitely. But it's nice.
It does. It does. Okay, some examples. He spent the weekend mowing the lawn and tending to his garden.
Sounds like a lot of work.
Yeah, it can be. The children were playing frisbee on the lawn, enjoying the sunshine.
Aw, that's a nice image.
Yeah, very wholesome. And then they spread a blanket on the lush green lawn and enjoyed a picnic lunch.
Ooh, that's the life.
For sure. Okay, back to the legal world with lawsuit.
All right, so a lawsuit is basically a legal case, right?
Okay.
It's when someone takes a claim or a dispute to court.
So they're trying to get something resolved through the legal system.
Exactly. It's a pretty formal process.
Got it. So some examples. She filed a lawsuit against the company for wrongful termination.
Ooh, that's a tough one.
The lawsuit dragged on for years, costing both parties a fortune in legal fees. Yeah, that's the downside.
Yeah, lawsuits can be very expensive.
And last but not least, the judge ruled in favor of the plaintiff, awarding them a significant sum in the lawsuit.
Wow, so the plaintiff won big.
Okay, what about layout? What does this word mean?
So layout is all about arrangement, like how things are positioned.
Okay.
So it could be the pages of a magazine, the rooms in a building, the elements on a website, anything like that.
So it's about design and organization.
Exactly. It's about how things look and how they flow together.
Got it. Here's some examples. The interior designer created a functional and stylish layout for the apartment.
Ooh, I love a good interior design makeover show.
Me too. The magazine's layout was eye-catching and easy to navigate.
Yeah, that's important. You don't want it to be confusing.
And last but not least, the website's layout was confusing, making it difficult for users to find the information they needed. Ugh, I hate when that happens.
Me too. It's so frustrating.
Okay, what about leaflet? What is a leaflet exactly?
So a leaflet is basically a piece of paper, right? And it has information or advertising on it. They're usually handed out for free.
Oh, okay, so like those flyers you see on the street.
Exactly.
Gotcha. Here are some examples. They distributed leaflets advertising the upcoming concert.
Gotta get the word out.
Right. The Tourist Information Center provided leaflets with maps and details of local attractions.
Super helpful.
Yeah, for sure. And then she designed a leaflet to raise awareness about the environmental campaign.
Nice.
Okay, what about leak? I immediately think of water leaks, but I know it has other meanings too.
Yeah, leak can be a few things. It can be the actual, like, escape of liquid or gas, like a water leak, a gas leak.
Right.
But it can also be, like, when information gets out that wasn't supposed to, like confidential information.
Oh, right. So it can be accidental or intentional.
Exactly.
Okay, that makes sense. So, some examples. The roof sprang a leak during the storm, causing water damage. That's a bummer.
Yeah, nobody wants that.
The journalist received a leak from an anonymous source within the government. Ooh, intrigue.
Classic investigative journalism.
And last but not least, the company was embarrassed by the leak of sensitive financial data.
Yeah, that's never good.
Not good at all. Okay, now for a word that makes me think of taking a big jump, leap.
Leap. So yeah, it can be a literal jump, like, leaping over a puddle.
Okay.
But it can also be more figurative, like making a sudden change or improvement.
Ah, okay. So it's about taking a big step forward.
Exactly.
Cool. Here are some sentences. The dancer leaped across the stage with grace and power.
Ooh, I can picture it. So elegant.
The company made a giant leap forward with its innovative new product.
That's awesome. Pushing boundaries.
Then her heart leaped with joy when she heard the good news.
Aw, that's sweet.
Okay, almost to the end here. What about legacy? What comes to mind when you hear that word?
Legacy. I think of, like, the impact someone leaves behind, after they're gone.
Okay.
It's their reputation, their achievements, the things they're remembered for.
So it's about what you leave for the world.
Exact.
Got it. Here's some examples. She dedicated her life to public service, leaving behind a legacy of compassion and justice.
What a beautiful legacy.
The band's music continued to inspire new generations of musicians, cementing their legacy as musical pioneers.
So they influenced others even after they were gone.
Yeah, their music lives on. And then he hoped to build a legacy that his children and grandchildren would be proud of.
Aw, that's sweet. A legacy for his family.
Okay, and last but not least, we have a legend. This one makes me think of mythical creatures and heroes.
Yeah, me too. It's definitely a word with a lot of, like, storytelling power.
It is. But what's the official definition?
So a legend can be an old story, like a myth or a folk tale.
Okay.
And it's often, like, passed down through generations. Sometimes they're not entirely true, but they always have a good story behind them.
Right, right.
Or a legend can be a person, right? Like someone who's famous and admired for their achievements.
So like a celebrity or a historical figure.
Exactly.
Gotcha. Okay, so here are some examples. The legend of Robin Hood has been told and retold for centuries.
A classic legend.
She was a basketball legend, breaking records and inspiring countless young athletes.
Wow, a true icon.
And last but not least, his daring adventures and heroic deeds made him a living legend.
So he was famous while he was still alive.
Exactly. Well, I think we did it. 30 words.
We made it.
That was quite the journey.
It was. But I feel like we learned a lot.
Yeah, me too. And hopefully our listeners did too.
Exactly. And even if you don't remember all the definitions perfectly, that's okay.
Yeah, it's more about just being exposed to these words, right?
Exactly. The more you hear them, the more you'll start to understand them.
And then you can go using them yourself.
Yes.
All right, well, that's it for this deep dive.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for joining us. And as always, happy learning.
Happy learning.